This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
And the time right now is 4:27 here on our Thursday morning. Thanks for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. We begin with news that broke yesterday. IMPD identifying the two officers involved in the shooting death of Dejon Reed.
Yes, so this is something that protesters here in Indianapolis locally, the family of Dejon Reed, they've been calling for more transparency and the release of the officers involved. Both officers involved in the shooting death of Dejon Reed were African American. One of them shot the young man, and then the other officer was disciplined for some comments. The officer who shot him not disciplined. He was actually awarded the Northwest District Officer of the Year just this past spring. So we'll have more on that coming up. Something else we got to talk about. This was news yesterday that's going to impact us as we go forward this week. The governor announcing that the state is able to move to stage 4 a couple days ahead of schedule.
Yeah, so what this means for you is that a lot more will be open. Social gatherings are allowed for up to 250 people. Restaurant dining rooms will open to 75% capacity. Bars and nightclubs will open up to 50% capacity. And retail stores and malls will open to full capacity. Great timing for this great weekend weather that we have. And we do expect to learn more about what they're going to ask of us Hoosiers as stage 4 begins.
We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast and see what we can expect in our forecast for today. Todd Clausen is standing by from home. Todd, it got windy yesterday. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you know, we told you that as that front went through outside of any thunderstorms, I know not everybody saw the storms, it would get very, very windy. I was out on the golf course, and my hat blew right off my head almost a couple times. Some of you did see severe weather up to the north with those storms that went through. It is very quiet here this morning, though. That is the good news. Temperatures have dropped down into the 50s and 60s with the passage of that cold front. Remember, yesterday we were hovering right around 80 degrees at this time. Our high today gets up to 80 degrees. It's mostly sunny. The new air mass is in place. It features low humidity. It's still a little breezy throughout the day today, but we don't have those real gusty winds like we saw during the day yesterday. And then wait till you see your 7-day planning forecast. I think it's one that you are really, really going to like here for the middle of June. We'll share that more coming up in just a little bit.
Todd, thank you. We do want to talk about our next story in our Rebound Indiana series, helping you get through this pandemic and sort of into this new normal we have. And we're talking today about childcare. We know several daycares had to close during the pandemic, and a lot of them are reopening, but they have some really extensive cleaning procedures they need to do. So Stephanie Wade is talking about a grant that's helping these businesses operate and keep your child safe. We'll have more on that story coming up in the 6 o'clock hour right here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
IMPD has released the names of the officers involved in the deadly shooting of Dejon Reed. Now at 4:30, what we've learned about their history on the force and reaction from protesters.
Plus, Chief Randall Taylor is responding to concerns over IMPD's response to protests, what he wants you to know about the department's disciplinary process.
And Governor Holcomb says the state can move to stage 4 of his Back on Track plan Friday. This morning, we're breaking down what that means for you. But first, it is 4:30 on your Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is joining us right now from home. And Todd, we had some strong winds move throughout the day yesterday. It was pretty loud, I know, at my home down in Greenwood. What can we expect as we have a brand new day here this Thursday?
You know, new air mass is in place. I think that's probably the first thing you're going to notice as you walk out the door. The humidity is down, and the temperatures are a lot cooler than they were yesterday. But we've also gotten rid of all the storms. That is good news as well. Storm Team 6 radar is nice and quiet this morning. And as we expand out, there's just a little bit of lingering cloud cover there off towards the east. And as we expand out even further, you'll see the storms from yesterday are now making their way towards the New Jersey area. Back off to the west, we have nothing but clear skies, and we are about to enter a very, very quiet weather pattern, not only for today, not only for the remainder of the week, but for the next 7 to even 10 days. A live look off to the west shows just a few high fair weather clouds there in the JW Marriott. Looks like it says Indy turns 200 there. So we'll have to find out what that means. Temperatures here are sitting at 60 degrees in Kokomo, 62 in Bloomington. Look at this forecast. It's a nice one today. A little breezy at times, maybe this afternoon, but nothing but sunshine and a high temperature right around 80 degrees. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic. This is I-65 near 38th Street. You can see traffic there is moving along up to speed both northbound and southbound on your northwest side interstate. I just took a quick check around the metro area. No crashes out there to slow you down if you are heading out early on this Thursday. Well, a 13th day of protests here in Indianapolis ends with what protesters say was a small victory. IMPD's decision to reveal the names of the officers connected to the shooting of Drejon Reed.
Learning the officers' names has been a demand of protesters since the day after Reed was killed by IMPD. So here's what we know about the case. IMPD says the officer who shot Reed has been identified as DeJour Mercer. He is a 4-year member of IMPD and was named Northwest District Officer of the Year back on April 29th, just 7 days before the deadly shooting. We are also told there had been no disciplinary actions against Mercer.
We also learned more about the officer who made comments about Reed needing a closed casket after seeing his body on the ground. That officer has been identified as Officer Stephen Scott, a 15-year member of IMPD. He was disciplined for making those comments and reassigned. According to IMPD, Scott was suspended without pay for 5 days earlier this month. Personnel files also show that in April of 2015, he received a written reprimand related to an off-duty employment. Both Mercer and Scott are African American. Protesters say getting IMPD to reveal more information is a long battle, but they say this is progress.
Small victory to a giant, but we still have more demands. They met 2 of our demands. We still need the officer to be held accountable for murder. We still need them fired. We still need them to tell the truth about what really happened. You know, we're standing with the family out here, we're standing with the community, and we just need the IMPD to be honest.
Well, protesters say they will continue fighting until justice is served for Drejon's family. That battle continues today. They will be out again this afternoon.
And this morning we've learned that the special prosecutor out of Madison County, who will now take on any criminal charges against the officers involved, is asking IMPD to step back and turn this ongoing investigation over to Indiana State Police. Fatima Johnson, the attorney for the Reed family, says that is a step in the right direction, but it doesn't go far enough. She's calling for an independent federal investigation. Johnson also cites Officer Mercer's 4 years on the force as a lack of experience and a contributing factor to Reed's death. She also believes Officer Mercer wanted to please his bosses, Chief Taylor and Deputy Chief Adams, who both originally spotted Reed speeding on the interstate in the minutes before the fatal shooting.
IMPD Chief Randall Taylor spent last night answering questions from the city-county councilors about ongoing investigations, including that Drejon Reed case and instances of violence during the protests. The chief acknowledged concerns about viral video showing officers hitting a woman with batons and using pepper balls. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears announcing a criminal investigation is now underway in that case. Chief Taylor said the video does make him uncomfortable to watch and that the officers involved have been reassigned. He also addressed why cases of excessive police force caught on video take so long to result in a punishment.
And why is it working? A regular citizen is not operating as a police officer. And as a police officer trying to effect an arrest with a subject that resists, there are certain things that happen. Like I said, I didn't like the way it looked, but it doesn't necessarily make it illegal. So if Leroy Robinson gets out there and does it, you're right, he is going to be arrested. But even though police officers are doing those things, we still investigate those. Like I said, the day that started, I did that. But I have to go by guidelines. I have to make sure that officers are not operating within policy. If they're not operating within policy, then there's going to be a discipline that comes out of that.
Chief Taylor says additional information about possible charges against the officers will come from the prosecutor's office and will be considered in IMPD's internal affairs investigation.
Turning now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic in Indiana, Governor Holcomb is moving the state to stage 4 of reopening 2 days earlier than expected. Under stage 4, office buildings and retail stores can open at full capacity. Restaurants can increase capacity to 75%. Playgrounds can reopen and recreational leagues can resume. And museums, zoos, water parks, and movie theaters can open at 50% capacity. Governor Holcomb says the shift is thanks to positive signs in the state's COVID-19 data.
Hoosiers have, I think, for the most part, been very not only patient but vigilant, and that is that combination has allowed us to weather this storm and continue to progress from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 2 to stage 3, and now on to stage 4.
Now, how all this applies to Marion County remains to be seen. As you know, Mayor Hogsett has not reopened Indianapolis as quickly as the rest of the state, and our stages are about 2 weeks behind. We expect an update from Mayor Hogsett on restrictions and guidelines later this afternoon. One change we can tell you about from the city will be that Illinois Street is back open to vehicle traffic. It was shut down last month to help restaurants offer outdoor dining. Yesterday, crews with the Department of Public Works reopened Illinois between Georgia and Market streets. 3 streets remain closed to car traffic, parts of Mass Ave, Georgia Street, and Broad Ripple Avenue.
We do want to take a look at the numbers now. Marion County still leads the state with more than 10,000 coronavirus cases and 634 deaths from the virus since this pandemic began. We can tell you Wednesday, state health officials reported 339 new cases of COVID-19. So far, more than 38,000 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the virus. The Department of Health also confirms 15 new COVID-19 deaths. Since the pandemic began, 2,173 people in Indiana have died from the coronavirus. Across the country, there are now more than 2 million confirmed cases of COVID-19. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. There are some concerns that areas will see a spike in new infections over the next few months. The Harvard Global Health Institute predicts 100,000 more coronavirus-linked deaths in the U.S. by September. 12 states have seen coronavirus hospitalizations rise since Memorial Day, and there's been at least 10% increase in week-to-week cases reported in 19 states. According to Johns Hopkins University, Johnson & Johnson is expected to start human vaccine trials next month. But in the meantime, health officials remind Americans to err on the side of caution.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to create challenges in making sure everyone has enough to eat. So WRTV is teaming up with Kroger and Second Helpings to get meals into the hands of those who are struggling to put food on the table. Starting Monday through June 21st, whenever you shop at select Central Indiana Kroger stores, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount of your choice when you check out. That amount will go directly to Second Helpings. WRTV and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can find out more at your Kroger store or theindychannel.com/feedinghoosiers.
Police departments across the country are announcing reforms in the wake of George Floyd's death. Straight ahead, the changes we're seeing and why some departments are pushing back.
Plus, as protests continue across the country, the push for change in America appears to be moving at lightning speed. Coming up, how the entertainment industry is now responding. Todd.
As we go throughout the course of the next couple days and really for the next week or so, a new air mass is working its way in. Gone is all the heat and humidity, and the temperatures near 80 at this time yesterday. We're at 61 right now, 50s off to our west. Wait till you see your 7-day planning forecast. You're going to like it. Coming up, I'll show it to you in just a few minutes as Good Morning Indiana continues here at 440.
Hiring Hoosiers only on RTV6.
Police departments across the country are announcing reforms in the wake of George Floyd's death. Last night, Floyd's brother marched outside the White House moments after pleading with members of Congress to, quote, stop the pain. This as we learn new details about the officers charged in Floyd's death. ABC's Karina Mitchell has the latest.
This morning, one of the former Minneapolis police officers charged in George Floyd's death is out of jail. Thomas Lane posting $750,000 bail as new details emerge about Derek Chauvin, the former cop facing the most serious charges. Prosecutors say before his arrest, Chauvin was considering pleading guilty to civil rights charges and to murdering Floyd, but the deal fell apart.
Put your fist in the sky! Raise them up, raise them up. Put your fist in the sky! Raise them up, raise them up.
Wednesday night, Floyd's brother marching down Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington.
Thank y'all so much.
Earlier giving powerful testimony on Capitol Hill.
It has to be something to do with racism.
In response to demands for reform, the Minneapolis police chief says his department is withdrawing from contract negotiations with the police union. The mayor of Buffalo also announcing reforms after 2 officers were seen pushing a 75-year-old protester. And in New York City, former Attorney General Loretta Lynch will help investigate the NYPD's response to recent protests. The police union president says officers are unfairly being portrayed, quote, as the enemy.
Stop treating us like animals and thugs, and start treating us with some respect.
Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
At 4:44, the entertainment industry is also making changes as the cultural landscape changes. So Cops has been praised as a real-life, unfiltered look at the daily lives of law enforcement officers. But now the show has been canceled. A critic who's investigated the show says it showed crimes committed by African Americans at a disproportionate rate and pictured police exclusively as the good guys. Filming for IMPD, which recently featured the Lawrence Police Department here in Indiana, has also into production. The police reality shows are not the only ones under the microscope. HBO Max removed the classic film Gone with the Wind. Executives say it will be brought back later, but it will include a discussion of its historical context and a denunciation of racism.
Police in Idaho have confirmed the human remains found on Chad Daybell's property are that of 7-year-old Joshua Vallow and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan. Their mother, Lori Vallow, was arrested in March after she and Daybell were found in Hawaii. She was extradited back to Idaho and now faces felony charges of desertion and non-support of a dependent child. She had refused to tell authorities where her children were. Chad Daybell was taken into custody Tuesday and made his first court appearance Wednesday. He is now being held on a $1 million bond. Both are due back in court next month.
A Colorado man and his daughter are recovering from a freak accident. They were just outside their home when the storms hit and a tree fell on them. A branch impaled 9-year-old Caitlin Newman and her father, Enrich. Caitlin was quickly taken to the hospital where she was stitched up, later sent home. Enrich, on the other hand, he's since undergone 3 surgeries. The family says they're not sure whether to call him a hero or call this a miracle.
He was impaled by a close to 4-inch diameter size branch. It went in his back and came out his front side. You know, a centimeter difference, and this could have been a different story.
Well, Enrich's family says he could come home from the hospital this week with a keepsake. The branch, he says he'll never forget. Pretty crazy there. And Todd, here in Indiana, central Indiana, yesterday we had some really strong winds blowing the trees around. So what can you tell us about what we can expect today as that new air mass is in place?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be much more quiet today. It's still going to be a little breezy at times here this morning, but the wind is going to slowly start to calm down. So we had the wind gust outside of the thunderstorms yesterday, and then we had some damage to the north, Kokomo, Tipton, up towards the Peru area, reported damage from the actual thunderstorms. And there were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings yesterday for the wind. But watch the wind here throughout the day today. These wind gusts, as we get into the afternoon hours, they'll really start to calm down, and that is good news for us. We could use a little break from the windy conditions and also the humidity that had been around. It was a pretty warm stretch of weather as we went into the past couple days. Well, a new air mass is in place. You're looking live from downtown off to the west, and you can see that the skies are clear. Not much in the way of cloud cover out there. Obviously, sunrise a little ways away here, but the skies will start to brighten in about an hour or so. Temperature-wise, 61 in Indy right now, 62 in Bloomington, 63 is the current temperature in Muncie, and in around the metro area. That 60-degree number, very common from Plainfield to New Pal to Greenwood over towards Castleton. Storm Team 6 radar is quiet. The storms moved out yesterday afternoon, and the evening wasn't bad as far as rain went. It was obviously very, very windy, as Lauren alluded to, but we're finally seeing even the clouds start to move out, and as we expand out, you can see the storms from yesterday now pushing to the east coast, and look at off to our west. Nothing but clear skies, and that is all the sunshine that we are going to enjoy throughout the day today. So don't bank on much of anything in the way of cloud cover. Temperatures will climb up to about 74 degrees by the noon hour, with a high temperature today right around 80 degrees. The humidity again is going to be very low as well. And then overnight tonight, temperatures into the 50s to right around 60 degrees. So very similar to what's happening outside right now. And then going forward in this forecast tomorrow, the one little change is it's going to be slightly warmer. High temperatures get up up into the mid-80s tomorrow with skies that'll be mostly sunny. And there could be some high, thin clouds tomorrow as another weak front comes through. And that front is going to drop our temperatures heading into the weekend. So the weekend is going to be cooler, but it's still bright. Saturday, 74 degrees. Sunday, high temperature of 76. Low temperatures both Saturday and Sunday morning into the mid-50s. So very comfortable sleeping weather, but then we warm right back up as we head into the middle of next week with skies, Lauren, that'll be mostly sunny across the area.
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading on the roads this Thursday. This is I-70, a look here near High School Road. You can see the lanes on the right side of our screen and the far left side of your screen moving along up to speed, but the middle there, those are quiet. We have the eastbound lanes of I-70 still closed between Ronald Reagan Parkway and the South Split downtown, but you can use the collector ramp to 465 to get around that closure. The closure expected to last through June 28th. Of course, we'll keep you updated.
Netflix is launching a Black Lives Matter collection. It includes movies, documentaries, and television shows. The streaming service says it's an effort to highlight, quote, powerful and complex narratives about the Black experience. The move comes in response to worldwide protests calling for racial justice and equality in the wake of the death of George Floyd. Titles include When They See Us, 13th, and Dear White People, to name a few.
At 4:50, several other companies and corporations are responding to a call for change. UPS, Sephora, and Adidas all recently announced initiatives to improve diversity and inclusion. UPS says it will donate more than $3 million to programs supporting African American communities. It will also step up its unconscious bias training for its workforce. Sephora has committed to the 15% pledge. Stores will reserve 15% of their shelves to Black-owned businesses. The company has also called on other retailers like Target and Whole Foods to join. And Adidas says it will fill 30% of its new positions in the U.S. with Black and Latino applicants. The company also plans to donate $20 million over the next 4 years to initiatives aimed at creating greater racial equality.
Items from a makeshift memorial left during recent protests in the nation's capital have found a new home. They're being collected and preserved by the Smithsonian. A group of curators spent hours this past weekend collecting countless homemade signs, artwork, clothing, and other items left behind by protesters. They also spent time interviewing people to record their stories. Curators say the goal is to preserve these items so the story of today can be told 50, 100, and 200 years from now.
A California gym teacher is going the extra mile to connect with his students. After the break, how he's making virtual learning sessions feel as in-person as possible.
And a national nonprofit working to combat mass incarceration has found a home in the Circle City. Coming up all new at 5, how the Bail Project is changing Hoosier lives. It's 4:52. We'll be right back.
Enjoy the great taste of Dunkin' at home.
A gym teacher in California is going above and beyond for his students. Jared Sellers' classroom has changed since the coronavirus moved classes online. To connect with his students, Sellers transformed his garage into a gym. He bought equipment, flooring, and added new drains so the garage wouldn't flood if it rained. Also, he could make online lessons for his students to feel as in-person as possible. The classes are meant to help his students with motor learning skills, but parents say they mean so much more than that.
I do get choked up to see the look on their face that they saw because they felt so disconnected and they didn't fully, it's hard to explain to them exactly what was going on and why they weren't able to go to school.
There's no two ways about it. I have a great job. It's, a very meaningful way to spend my time, and to see the improvements with the kids is second to none. It's not like I'm just...
Sellers says it cost him around $1,500 of his own hard-earned money making his garage into a home gym for those virtual classes, but it was all worth it to make a difference in his students' lives. And Todd, if people are heading out for a run this morning, they might need an extra layer. It was kind of chillier, especially considering how humid yesterday was.
Yeah, that's the big difference. The humidity is what you'll notice first, and then the temperatures are a lot cooler. In fact, they're running almost 20 degrees cooler this morning than we were yesterday morning. But look at this stretch of weather. So, yeah, obviously it'll be a little cooler for a run this morning than later on this afternoon. But you're in good shape this afternoon as well at 80 degrees with plenty of sunshine. Tomorrow up to 84. The weekend is a little cooler with highs in the 70s and maybe a little more in the way of cloud cover, especially on Saturday. But then we're back into the mid-80s with sunshine as we head into the middle of next week. The time now is 4:57. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.